Hello everybody, Reggie Time here, and today is going to launch the start of a new video series because I've been struggling to create original content. You guys have been saying you like challenge videos, you like live play videos, etc. I'm not that fond of them. I think they're a bit old hat, but they get the best views, they get the most likes, it's what people want to see, so it's what I'm going to do. So this challenge is going to be a $0 to $500 challenge exclusively at 16NL Zoom. If it goes well, if it's popular, we'll follow that up with a similar challenge at 25NL, and we're going to see how we go. I'm not sure how long it's going to take me. My rough estimates are it will take somewhere between 80 to 100 hours of play. I mean, if we run good, we'll do it quicker. If we run bad, it'll be slower. I'm guessing my hourly rate, two-table in these games, with what limited like rewards you get, is going to be in the $5 to $6 an hour region, which isn't great, but for a hobby, it's not dreadful either. Especially, you know, for some of you guys, if you can take some inspiration from this and do the same for yourselves. I'm sure there's a lot of guys who'd like to play 50 hours of poker a month for an extra $300 pocket money. Yeah, we're not going to be pulling up any trees with it, but at the same time, hopefully we're just going to play good, solid poker, get the job done. We're not going to focus on volume. It's going to be exclusively two-tabling, and we're going to take account for every penny we make, both at the tables, with these card match things, with all the shitty little chests they get, the stars coins, everything. We're going to count every little penny, and we're going to hope to make it in less than 100 hours. I'm not going to record every session. I'm probably going to do 2 or 3 sessions recorded a week, but there'll be regular updates at the start of every session. We'll put some graphs up and what have you, some results pages to show you guys how we're going along, how we've been doing between the videos. So without further ado, let's get stuck into it. Most of these videos are going to be about 45 minutes long each, because that's typically how long I play a session before I take a break. I've got these, I played some tournaments the other day, so I don't have these buttons set correctly, so we're going to sit out whilst I restore my cash game buttons. I think we're going to raise here with the 2 overs and the flush draw, and yep, you just take it down straight away, and we'll be back in a moment with the better buttons. So we'll talk through the buttons in just a moment. The sizes that we're going with, slightly different to my last video. I kind of fuck around with them. I don't think it's that important to get anal about the fine tune of exactly what your open sizes are. I alter mine from time to time just in case someone thinks they're picking up a size and telling me, well, if I slightly alter my buttons whilst opening the same ranges with slightly different like sizings from like week to week or what have you, hopefully it just muddies the water a little bit, although I don't think it's a particularly big deal. I was going to just smooth call with the 10s in the small blind. How often is this gentleman 3-betting from the button? Just 3%. Oh, no, not 3%. Just 2.2%. I'm going to make a very, very conservative fold there. Tight player opens, someone with a small 3-betting percentage from the button. 3 bets. It's an incredibly tight fold, but I think it's just fine given that exact scenario. There's lots of times that I just called 4-bet. Lots of times, and maybe sometimes I think about just cold calling if I thought the guy was getting out of line on the button. There's 2 tightish players. Comfortable with the decision that I made. Albeit we're dealing with particularly small sample sizes. This guy's got 92% of buttons so far. I think we can safely defend the Ace 7 versus that. 3-bet the 9-10 suited versus someone who looks like they might be pretty laggy in the cutoff. Oh, pretty standard stuff so far. And that's kind of what most of the videos are going to be, just pretty standard. Me just playing some pretty standard normal poker. I think we need that 55% to be bigger, don't we? That needs to be changing too. Cold 4-bet here with the King Queen off, I think. This is a bluff, of course. If we get 5-bet, which is going to snap fold. We get called. We make top pair. At this point with this SPR, the money's just going to go in. It's just a matter of how it goes in, I guess. And it just folds. Well, the money's going to go in from my perspective, so we're not necessarily from my opponent's perspective. But we called 4-bet and we flop top pair good kicker. SPR of like 1 point whatever, 8 or something. Just it goes in, doesn't it? We can maybe think about check raising sometimes or whatever, but I prefer just leading out there small. You're going to change that 55% button too, I think. I mean, most of my post-flop bet sizing is less than half pot. I think having like a 42% and a 55%, I don't really see the point in that. Again, I'm forever tinkering with my post-flop sizings and my pre-flop sizings, so I mean, this is subject to change certainly throughout the week. Maybe not throughout the video usually, but certainly throughout the week. I'm not going to be opening small pairs from early position. I'm going to be opening the ace-10 suited though. And we get jammed on by pretty tight player. We're going to make a disciplined fold. We're probably folding a decent chunk of equity there, but nevertheless, I don't really think there's an awful great need to gamble in that spot. I was about to defend the Jack-10 suited, but given that it's been 3-bet, we'll just let it go. Ten-7 suited is going to be a call. This is going to be a check call on the flop most of the time. Assuming it's just like a bet and a call or a bet and a fold or what have you. If there's a bet and a raise, maybe not so much, maybe not as keen on my hand. And bet for something is not really value. Just deny equity versus overcards, I guess. Maybe someone peels with a 6, pocket 6s or something. We river the straight. It's a bet for sure. It's just what size am I going to go? I'm going a larger size, I think. And unfortunately our opponent folds. 10-9 offsuit. So we've got a tight player in the small blind. This is kind of close from the cutoff. We might have a loose player on the button, but not enough hands to know for sure. And we'll give it a go. Just with having a tight looking player in the small blind, it made me kind of willing to open it. We have been 3-bet by someone who we suspected could be on the laggy side. It's a very small 3-bet, but our hand's pretty damn poor. So we'll just let it go. Holland Jam. That's a name I recognise. I'm not sure if it's someone I've spoke to in the past or not. A7 suited. I think it's going to be an open. I can go either way with these types of hands. Sometimes I'll open them a lot. Other times I'll just say, you know what, middle position, shitty ace, just because it's suited doesn't make it playable. Today I'm in the mood to play them, so we'll just play them. I think it's kind of, you can sometimes have them, sometimes not. I don't think it's a particularly big deal either way. Quite often it'll matter if there's like lots of tight players behind me, then I'll open it. 8-7. And the small blind will be an open. Again, we get 3-bet. Trivial fold. Bottom pair, someone falls 84% to c-bets. I'm happy just to pick this pot up right now. I'll try and take advantage of that. That's that. Against that play, we're pretty much going to c-bet close to 100%. The only time I wouldn't c-bet against that guy is if we had the board crushed. Because obviously he's overfolding as it is. Getting rid of all my old-fashioned tags. My new tagging ideas are only tag players that are in some way noteworthy for their looseness. Either someone who's like really bad, like loose aggressive, bad aggressive, loose passive, that type of people. If you're just a standard type player, I'm just not going to bother tagging people. You're only going to get a tag if you're in. If I feel if you're in some way some kind of action player. Queen 8 offsuit. I guess a lot of players would defend this. I'd like to get on and play some more interesting hands, and like just not all like the close, the ones that I like close to should we call or not. There's not a ton of profit in. I tend to let them go. I'd rather just not waste a minute or so playing the hand and get more hands in that are probably higher EV. 5-6 offsuit. Only opening 43% from the blind, so I think we'll let it go. Not c-betting ace queen on that board texture. Kind of the dilemma here: do we bet twice here to try and put pressure on his like shitty pairs, or do we try and like realise our showdown value? And I think we're going to try and put pressure on his shitty pairs. He's always going to appeal here with like pocket fours, pocket threes, pocket sixes. But does he call twice? That's going to be the question. He doesn't even call once, so fair dues. Pretty easy call here with our sevens. Probably going to check fold this turn if Uriel barrels any kind of like meaningful size. It's just not that great a spot for us to put that much money in the pot, so we're not going to. Multi-way this board texture. We weren't going to see, but anyway, now this fishy looking player donks. We're just going to let it go. Deuces. This is usually going to be a fold for me unless I think we've got some like pretty docile passive or tight players behind. Yeah, we just let it go. think the King Jack off's going to be a 3-bet, I think. This guy's opening 48% from the cutout, from the button. Jack 9 suited is going to be a fold. Sometimes I would peel a hand like Jack 9 suited, but the guy there on the button only had $6, and it kind of sucks to call, and then he jams, and then you fuck off and fold it, and just feels like it's a spot where we bleed money and don't really make very much. 5-9 suited is pretty junk, but versus the min raise, we're going to see a flop. Probably going to check call this flop and then give up most turns, I guess. Do pick up a good shot though, so maybe if he bets small enough we can justify making a slightly loose turn call. Not betting the river, there's no value to be had. Doubt he folds. Again, this smaller pot, I doubt he folds a better hand. He certainly wasn't going to fold pocket kings, that's for sure. Seven six suited, very loose open from early position, and we got some active looking players behind, so we'll definitely let it go. I saw the fish in the blind and thought maybe we can open this, but I think there was too much to get through. Again, middle position. Some tight-ish looking players. Still think we'll fold it. Sounds like 6-7 suited, in my opinion, need you some bad players to be in the pot with you to make that profitable from early position. And it looked to me there that we just had like a bunch of pretty tight regulars kicking round. It's too early to just try and steal the blinds with it from middle position, and I don't think we're going to make a ton of money with it post up, especially if we get called by one of the guys who's got position on us. Jack 9 offsuit. Again, a bit of a loose open from the cutoff, but unknowns behind, probably worth taking a punt with it. This guy doesn't fold too many c-bets, so just going to check. And we hit 7 on the river. Doubt we can get value for it, but it does give us a chance to check call now. He just checks through, we win. Top pair seems like a good place to start on table 1. Pretty dry board. I don't bet big very often anyway, so don't see many reasons to make a large bet here. We get raised, we're going to call and see a turn. Well, we just take it down. Ace 10 suited. Could 3-bet, could call. It's only opening 26% from the cutoff. Does fall to a reasonable amount of 3-bets, so I think we're just going to try and take this down pre-flop. always wary of the under the gun limp, especially from unknown. Some fish, I'm much less wary of it. I'm not going to open this. Two very loose looking players in the blinds, one guy who doesn't have any money, and we do get limp raised. So I think it's going to be quite easy to play this. It's just call, try and flop a set. I think it's that easy right now. We don't flop a set. Probably just going to check fold here unless he makes like an absurdly small bet size. I'm going to play the King 10 suited. I'm going to fold this. Seems like a pretty easy fold to me. His range is going to be so heavily weighted towards 2 aces and 2 kings. Just not even going to worry about it. I'm going to start stabbing here versus daring. Just immediately check folds. I think people 3-bet too wide from the small blind and don't really know what to do post-flop when they get called, when they miss. I think you can make a lot of stabs versus miss c-bets on those types of boards because people just, they're not going to get to the river very often unless they're starting to check some strong hands too. I think it's a good spot in these games to just, where we can just pick up quite a lot of dead money. Most guys would just see bet their overpairs there, etc. And there's no draws to be touched, to be spoke about. Queen Jack suited. I'm going to pop this into a 3-bet bluffing range, I think. Versus a big eye girl. Maybe in hindsight I would like to have seen the 4-3-bet be a little bit higher before I made that play and kind of rushed that decision a little bit. Worked out okay, but probably had I seen the low 4-3-bet over a small sample, I may have had cause to take a different action. But most of the time I'm going to 3-bet or fold in spots like that. I don't have much of a cold calling range versus opens these days. I think we just either get squeezed too often, or I would just have to play a post up without the initiative. I don't like either of those things much. We'd rather have the initiative, make it less likely we're going to get squeezed, etc. I think all of those things, having the initiative and removing the option for players behind you to squeeze, I think they add up to making like having a 3-bet or fold strategy pre-flop most of the time working pretty well. There are times I'll flat, usually in the big blind when I'm closing the action, would be the most obvious. The rest of the time I'm usually going to be in like a 3-bet or fold type of mindset. And that's a set. Because of the board texture, this is where we're going to have a slightly bigger than usual sizing. If he's got a hand there that's going to call a 42% bet size, he's probably going to call 60 to 65% too. That was my logic. Pocket 6 is right on the cusp of what I'll open or not. It would depend very much on how active the players behind me look. We don't know much about any of them, so we'll open it. We'll flop a good shot on a pretty dry board. Start with a small bet and go from there. We get called a turn to pretty poor barrel card. And check back here. If he doesn't bet the river, we're just going to bomb it ourselves. Call with the 6s. I mean, I think he just bets a queen on the river if he has one. The problem with the 6 is it makes him some 2 pairs. It's not the best of rivers, the 6, I don't think. I was tempted to just like unleash here. Now I'm not so sure. But why not? We'll go for the over bit. which works. We get in here. We're getting good odds to call. I mean, I just don't. We're getting good odds to call, but I just don't think we beat very much. Yeah, I think in fact we'll just fold. Not a big fan of opening shitty raggy aces, but against unknowns who folded 4 times out of 4, I think it's worth trying. Of course, this time he does them in 3-bet, but never mind. And we float 2 pairs, and hopefully now we'll stack him. So we're going to go for approximately check raise of 3x's bet. Give me that 180, 192, something like that. Perfect. He calls. And we're just going to jam this turn. He snap called, which makes me think he's probably got a hand he likes. And he folded, which is disappointing. I kind of thought we were going to be getting the call there. Given he snap called the check raise. Probably should have made my check raise and the flop a tiny bit bigger to make it closer to a pot size bet on the river on the turn, but never mind. I didn't. I rushed it a little bit. Didn't really take his stack size into account. Bad me. Naughty Reggie. 6-4 suited. No. Queen 9 off. In the olden days, that would have been a slam dunk isolation raise. I'm not so convinced these days. I don't think it's strong enough to go for the isolation raise with people a bit more clued up too, and they'll just like 3-bet lighter versus like ISO raises. Here we've flopped pretty terribly for our hand, and an opponent doesn't like his 33% fold to C bet. Makes me less inclined to want to bet versus him. Now here's check back. We're just going to bet twice. Or once. As it appears. And we're getting close to completing the card match on table 1. A glorious little bonus of 50 cents or $1, no doubt. 2 queens versus someone who's min raised. We'll start with a 3-bet, see how we go from there. Pretty shitty floppy snap called. Don't know anything about him whatsoever. I'm going to start with the check. Don't think we can get 2 streets here. It's check call turn, check something river. If he checks back, it's just value bet river. That's what I'm thinking. Ace queen off. He's bet the turn, so it's a trivial call. Given how we played the hand so far. It's ace queen. A 3-bet for... Well, just basically because the guy's not got a full stack, so I think he's likely to make quite a lot of mistakes. We get cold 4-bet jammed on, so which makes a really easy decision. This guy blasts the river. Don't think there's an awful lot we can do about this. I think we just need to fold. It's a 3-bet pot. Snap called as pre-flop. I mean, who knows what ace X he has. Yeah, it hurts that we don't know anything about him, but usually when I pay off in these spots I lose, so we're just not going to pay off. It's easy just to make like a frustration call there. Be like, oh, check the flop and or induce bluffs, etc, etc. And I think versus some sizings we can do that. But a 3-bet pot, he's bet turn and he's bombed the river. In my experience, they just have it way too often there to justify like calling down with what is a pure bluff catcher. we just play a full session with this video, like a full 500 hands, rather than just like a 45-minute book. Because most of my sessions are going to be, the only time I won't be putting 500 hand sessions in is if I get tilted during the 500 hands and I decide that, you know what, it's best just to quit the session. Or if games are like really good, and when it comes to the 500 hands, that I think, well, you know what, there's a lot of fish kicking around or whatever, so we need to carry on playing. Usually I'd play for 500 hands, I'd maybe rest for however long I rest for. Sometimes, depending on what time of day it is, it can just be 20 minutes. Sometimes it can be for hours, depending on what I've got to do. So yeah, we'll make most of these videos 500 hand sessions, if not all of them 500 hand sessions, in the interest of consistency. Disappointing when you get the Cowboys and you don't get action, but never mind. Two pretty docile looking players in the blinds. And when I say docile, I don't mean that to be disrespectful. I just mean like they're not 3-betting a lot, either of them, by the looks of things. So when I mention docile players, I typically mean players that aren't that active. Even though this guy is like 32-24 over a small sample, he's not 3-betting much. I think we'll double barrel turn river if he checks again on table 1. We're going to let the 8-9 go on table 2. King Queen offsuit versus someone who's doesn't look that positionally aware. A 3-bet off fold here, I think. We'll go with the 3-bet. And 6-4 suited, somewhat of a loose button open, but we have someone in the small blind who's not 3-betting a lot, someone in the button who's not massively 3-betting, albeit again really small sample sizes. But if it's all we have to go with, it's kind of all we have to go with. This guy does not open an awful lot of cutoffs. Don't really want to flat. Although this plays quite tight, this plays. Yeah, we'll try flatting for once. Straight away we get 3-bet, but we don't care because it's such a ridiculous sizing. Let's give this guy the green tag straight away. No, he won't, in fact, because it could just be a misclick. It was that quick. But usually if I see the min 3-bet from the small blind, I'm thinking, or min 3-bet from any position, I'm thinking not good regular or not good player. Anyways, we get 4-bet, so that's the end of that. I really don't think there's a great case to be made for flatting marginal hands in these games anymore. I really do think like a 3-bet or 4 strategy pre-flop is a much better strategy than trying to devise some kind of like flatting range. Not enough sample on that guy to know what's really going on with his button open range, so we can let the 10-7 suited go. Sometimes we could 3-bet that, I think, from the small blind, but I don't want to be like getting to a stage where I'm just like 3-betting too much, because you become super exploitable. King Queen's kind of tempting to call now, given that this Acho character's called. Certainly can't squeeze because we don't want to be getting it all in versus this guy for 50 big blinds. I think folding's going to be too nitty by a long way, so at least leaves calling us. And by a process of elimination, the best option. Given we've got a yellow tag player behind, we're going to open the ace-4, although I am pretty nervous about the button, who looks like quite an active player over a small sample. Let the King 10 offsuit go. I'm going to wait for it to come round to me. I can't imagine any scenario that would encourage me to call. And maybe if every single person called. And pretty much defend any two suited cards versus small blind min raises, even from like nitty looking players. Gonna go for a squeeze here as a bluff with the ace 10. Tight player on the button, tightish players in the blinds. 10-9 becomes an open. The active players behind 10-9 becomes a fold for me. We get 3-bet, which is kind of unexpected, but whatever. Really not a difficult decision. When you get 3-bet and you've got 10-9 offsuit, it's not a tough spot. Flopped absolutely nothing with the ace-4, so I'm just giving up. Still giving up. So we're 40/13 over like no sample size, 3-betting us to just 9 bigs. It's a super trivial call. Ace-4 might even be good here. I doubt it. I think we're going to lose to like fucking pocket 7s or whatever, but it might be good. And it wasn't good. Wow, that's a big c-bet. That is a big c-bet. On a pretty dry board, fuck it, we'll just fold. What on earth is that all about? What size is that? Fucking 12 big blind. Wowee. He looks active, this player, but sample size way too small to start overreacting, and Queen 9 off's pretty junk anyway. We check back the flop because we have to check back some like weak top pairs. Just because we have a flush draw doesn't mean to say we necessarily have to bet with it. Going down the Doug Polk area of thinking of if you have a flush draw but you have a hand you wouldn't bet without the flush draw, maybe not bet it with the flush draw. I think we're going to call here. I mean, yeah, I think we lose to a king, pocket threes, or win, I guess. Or king three, of course. No big deal there. No big deal there. Pretty bad flop for our hand, but pretty good flop for our range, I guess. I'm going to start with a c-bet. Not too optimistic about the hand, but if we 3-bet and then we don't c-bet the ace-high boards most of the time, then I think we're probably not doing some things right. And when we get races, obviously it's a super trivial fold. It's kind of not working out for us this session, but that happens. To retain your composure. And what happens in these games quite often, you just run into the top of people's ranges more than you'd like sometimes, and it's important that you don't allow yourself to feel like, you know, oh, these bastards are running me over. We need to start making some like random adjustments, some weird adjustments to our overall strategy. We can adjust to individuals eventually if we get reads that make us want to adjust, but we don't just like adjust our strategies because we're a bit pissed off with how the session's going. It's just a dreadful board for our tens. So let it go. This guy, he loves his enormous like small blind isolation. Second time he's done it in a matter of minutes. Looks like it's kind of shit, but who knows? Maybe he's like super next level and it's really good. This guy's virtually an empty seat, isn't he? So we'll pretend we're in the cutoff and we'll open the Jack 9 suited. This guy's checked twice. Just Springer probably doesn't have anything. We can certainly have lots of 5x in our like small blind overcalling range. Have some queens at word to check. He's checked back the flop. I think it's just a good spot just to like bet twice and pick up the pot a decent amount. %, button open. It's kind of annoying that this tight looking player's gone for the 3-bet here, because I was going to 3-bet myself. If he was a more loose aggressive player, I would certainly just think about call 4-betting here, but I'm not one of those guys who says we could do this, we could do that, and then never does it. It annoys me when I see people who make videos who do that kind of thing. But I think that is one of those spots where we can certainly think about, under the right like dynamics, going for a cold 4-bet bluff there with a weak ace, but didn't seem like the best situation for it. This guy's opening, in my opinion, too many hands from under the gun, so we'll try a 3-bet. I want to see people's under the gun get up to like 16% and higher. I think they're rife to like 3-bet them a ton. Because I think 3-bets versus under the gun carry like tons of weight anyway, and if on top of that they've got a wider than usual range for that position, then all of a sudden I think trying to find some spots to 3-bet bluff works really nicely. Ace 8's off pretty miserable from the cut-off. I was trying to find a reason to open it but couldn't, so just fold. Eight 7 suited, getting super pot odds to try and flop the world, and we've won on card match. We've won on card match and we've flopped a straight. I don't think my life gets any better than this moment. Big check raise coming in here. We're going to pop it up well into the 4s. Lots of ways we can get called by worse hands. In fact, we're going to go for a really big raise and just shove the turn. Oh, never mind. I thought we'd get some action on that board. There's a really good chance of getting some action there. We didn't. Never mind. We need to raise for value, protect our hand, etc. How much do we win on the card match? Don't be 50 cents. Fucking dollar. Get in. We are fucking crushing life today. Flopping straights, winning dollars on card matches. Glorious. Again, we have a player here who isn't particularly positionally aware. Opening from middle position. Oh, I was about to 3-bet. Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. Wasn't the best spot in the world anyway. Just a reasonable spot, I felt. Won $1 on the card match. And that is just about as miserable a flop as you can get for an ace king. Yeah. We're just going to check fold. And I'm aware that we're just giving chance to bluff us all the time here. But what can we really do on that board texture out of position with ace king? To deuce. Boo. Boo, 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 boo. Kind of annoying when you lose 100 big blind pot, but what are we going to do? To be fair, he didn't do much wrong. We didn't do anything wrong. Just one of those things. think we're going to 3-bet versus someone with a 60% steal. Not even sure why I checked, because we're just going to 3-bet versus someone with a 60% steal. We're not folding here on table 2. Just a question of, are we squeezing or are we just going to call? %30 call for. I think we're going to go with the squeeze to make it kind of big, given how many people called, and we get it through. And that was kind of close. I think with the foldings like off the table immediately, given that the great odds were getting to just call. It's just a matter of like, is the cutoff loose enough? Because if you can get through the cutoff, you're going to get through the other guys pretty decent amount of the time. Looks like he could potentially be a fish, but sample size nowhere near big enough to determine that for sure. So we'll let the ace-10 go for the time being. Trying between 4x or 5x there with the kings. Decided to go with the 5x. For no real reason. Just 5x felt okay. We want to make this a big bet and then just shove the turn, I think. Just kind of hope he's got a queen or something. Obviously we're not folding. If he raises, we're just going to hope he's got queen X and not some weird shit. I'm used to getting 500 hands per hour. 1 or 2 table. Not quite sure why we're only on 360 after 53 minutes. I suppose we had a bit of an intro at the start of the video, didn't we? And what have you. So maybe we're still on for 500 hands an hour. Just about. Flop second pair. No real reason to bet versus 2 opponents. I guess we could bet just try and collect dead money. Thin value from a 5. In fact, yeah, the more I think about it, the more like just betting small. Folding to a raise, of course. No real draws out there, so if we do get raised, we just assume someone's got value in some way. We've come down since our glory time of card matching and straights, haven't we? Come back down from that. It'd be nice to book a winning session for the first video of a new series, but it feels like at the moment we're stuck. Not by a lot, but it feels like we're stuck. I'll call this turn and probably fold the river. Maybe raise this river. He's limped in. He's bet 3 streets on this board. Doesn't make much sense. What hand, what a triple barrel he is. Straight, what a triple barrel, of course. But other than that, it doesn't make much sense. So we're going to go with a big raise. I like raising. If we're going to bluff raise versus these like small block bets, you've got to fucking make it decent. You can't piss around and make it like 3x or whatever. If you think someone's on the weaker side and they're blocking, you've got to man up with your bet size. If you fuck around and make it like small, they just call you too often. This bot's run out pretty fucking dog wank, hasn't it, for us? I'm probably just going to check fold the river. Unless your bet's tiny. In places on tables, this Wamp playing, he seems to be turning up a lot. Just one table. He's just playing the one. Don't normally tag people after so few hands, but if you're playing 67/8, chances are you're not going to be good. Ace Jack offsuit versus an unknown. Nobody want to play Ace Jack offsuit out of position without the initiative. It's just 3-bet with it and hopefully just take it down pre. Not a good. We've ran salty with the King Queen today, haven't we? I don't think we've really hit with it yet. 10-9 offsuit. Probably going to be a defend getting that price. Not going to do anything versus this stack size against Georgie. Try and hit. We do. Going to check raise with our 2 overs. Backdoor straight draw against Olivier. Going to pay this off. Expect to lose a reasonable amount, but pay it off anyway. Quite like check raising these dry boards. It's just so hard for them to like want a 3-bet versus us. Even if they got like the overpair, they really don't want a 3-bet at this point. So it allows us to take control of the action. If we do get 3-bet, then we have a super trivial fold. If we get called, we can pretty much put them on a pretty strong made hand, but that's not like super nutted, and usually just give up. Not try and barrel off versus them. It's important that when you make these like weak defends versus small opens, that you're not just playing super fit or fold. If you are, you're just going to get killed. 3-bet here by someone who looks somewhat active. Looks like they don't see bet much though, so it's tempting to just call here and take a flop. He does see bet. Now I had this guy, I've seen him, as my notes say, it's just like check call down with ace king. So when you see bets here, I'm going to take stuff like ace king out of his range, and he's going to have like a lot of overpairs or just random stuff is that he's like completely missed with it. He doesn't feel has showdown value, I guess. Given I've got a note on that he likes to be a hero, though, we're not going to get out of line versus him. Not sure about that hand. I think that's possibly a hand that I played worse during the session. Not the end of the world. I mean, we've called a 3-bet versus an aggressive player in position with ace jack off. Completely missed and folded to a c-bet. It's not exactly dreadful. It just feels kind of, you know, it doesn't feel great. $100 hands to go. Can we get something going between now and the end of the session? got a pretty high fold to 3-betters. Shammer. And he's not positionally aware. So his stack size makes me... now what are we going to do? Don't like his stack size for a squeeze. Do like that fact he's opening too wide and folding to a lot of 3-bets. We're going to call this pocket 7s, by the way. We're still behind jacks. I'm going to squeeze with the 5-6. Although this stack size does make me a little bit nervous. But we get it through. With the 7s there, we just have to call versus that stack's like 20 odd blinds. He looked reasonably active. We just 3-bet Shammer, so we need to be aware of that. But we have another 3-betting situation, and we can't dog it, so we're going to go for it. Does fall to a lot of 3-bets, albeit still the sample size isn't enormous. He has 4-betters this time. I think our hand's too strong to just fold. It's going to be another one of those situations where we feel a little bit shitty when we miss and we just have to check fold, but ace 10's just too strong to just like fold to a 4-bet here. I could have considered like just jamming it in there, I think, but given how often he folds to it, 3-bets. And maybe a little bit on the spewy side. So this is just bet if he doesn't have a spade here, just try and make him fold. I think when he calls that, he pretty much always has a spade. We're not going to bluff this river. Good chance we're going to check raise our gut shot here and backdoor flush draw on table 1. Corbs. He's a big fan. He's a big fan of the Corbin. We like that. Hashtag Jez we can. Oh, and your big socialist, the Hypnot. I feel bad about doing this now. In fact, I don't even mind if he wins this pot. Fellow Corbynista. I don't mind losing pots to fellow Corbynistas. Sorry, sir. Did not like doing that to you as a fellow Labour man, but you know, a man's got to do what a man's got to do. Good shot, backdoor flush draw, pretty dry board. I'll start off with a c-bet. Nearly finished for the session. Hopefully we get at least one more interesting hand in. This one's not going to be it. No, we're going to try and bluff somebody off a chop here. It just doesn't work and you just pick a fucking ton of rake. For no good reason. %83 button open. That deserves to be punished. Or at least try and punish it. Certainly got a recreational player here. A 3-bet just to isolate him, which is why we're going for the slightly smaller size than I've been using for the rest of the session. Calls, we flop a pair on a pretty shitty board. I don't like this, but tons of draws have missed on the river. We've kind of our hands improved. Well, obviously we lose to an 8. Not sure what 8x he will have. He can have some. I guess we just call. And we stuck out on the Queen 10. Not really sure what his river bet's all about there, but this is why we 3-bet players who look to be shit, because they do all kinds of weird shit. Kind of glad we hit the king though, because I might have called that river anyway. Potential passive recreational player in the blinds, so we'll open a hand I wouldn't typically open. So we did get the interesting hand just before the end of the video. Maybe we'll get one more. 20 odd hands to go. I might just have pulled us out for the session. I still think we're going to be losing this session. But that last hand might just have made it so it's not been a really bad session. Because of how weak this player looks in the big blind, we're just going to call here, I think, and take a flop. He looks really weak. 65 hands, 24/8. He is not the type of player that's going to be 3-betting light. And I don't know enough about the flasher to know whether I want to 3-bet ace-6 suited. So it's one of the very rare occasions I will just call out with the small blind. And I think there's like almost 0 chance of getting squeezed. And the small blind, the opens pretty small sizing. This does bring it. I mean, this is how now. He looks pretty active now. All of a sudden, he's raised like 3 hands in a row, even though he's like the rest of his stats are belaying that. We're actually going to go with a 3-bet with this 10-9 suited. I don't think he's a true 22-11. I think he's like the stats we're seeing on screen at the moment probably betray his true style. Versus that sizing, we're not going to do anything with the Queen Jack. And because we haven't got out of line versus him yet, I'm hoping this 3-bet's going to maybe carry a little bit more weight. He calls. A little bit of everything on the flop. We've got 3 to everything, haven't we? And we c-bet here and we continue on an 8 Queen club. I mean, he might raise here, but it doesn't seem like it's the sort of ball we're going to get raised on very often. If he's flopped a monster hand, he's probably not going to raise it. If he's got a medium strength hand, he's probably just going to call with that too. I think we're just going to make a really, really big barrel at this point, or maybe go for a check shove. I actually think I like check shoving more. Sometimes it checks through and we get to realise our equity. If we bet small enough, I think we have a decent amount of fold equity. So now what do I think his range looks like? Interesting hand to finish on. We have the nuts, of course. I think we just need to bet. It's not allowed to check back. Medium strength made hand. He's going to put a lot of pressure on medium pairs because he might just think we look like ace king, ace queen here that's now just bluffing after he checks the turn. And we did get the call. Happy days. And he had pocket tens, so he had absolutely had a hand he would check back. So that kind of worked out well for us. The way that board ran out, it kind of worked out pretty good for us. Don't think there's much he can do about that. He has to call pre-flop. He has to call the flop. I think his turn check's absolutely fine, and his river call's really close. Yeah. So yeah, we've got 2 fun hands to end on. We'll just sit our next blind and see how we go from there. King Jack, because we've got like a green tag player in the blind and somebody who's playing 42-23 in the button, I think we can just about open it. And that is not a good flop for our hand. But there's a good chance we can get a double barrel through here against 2 players that look like they might be on the passive side. If the turn's like an offsuit 4 or something and we get called, we're not going to barrel that. But we're going to barrel like any reasonable cards. The 8, probably not that reasonable, but at the same time, it's super unlikely this guy's got a hand that's much stronger than, say, pocket tens. We block jacks. Do we just empty the clip? We didn't need to. And there we go. It's the end of the session. So to wrap it up, who won $1 on card match? We played 504 hands. And we drew, basically. Let's see what it says in the active session. I know it's going to look a bit shit on your screen. But we lost 28 cents. But we made $1 on the card match. So happy days. Happy with my red line. Ran below EV. Yeah. Decent session. Didn't work out. We didn't make any money, but I think it's a decent session. Didn't play every hand perfectly, not by a long way, but I feel I put decent thought into it. Was happy with my focus. And yeah. The video's been quite a bit longer than I wanted. But yeah, we're going to keep doing 500 hand session videos, and hopefully you guys will keep hitting likes and I'll keep making them. And we'll make the $500 sooner rather than later. Bye-bye for now.